23andMe. I'm going to charge them for that jingle. All right, guys, today we're going to talk about 23andMe. We've been talking about productivity in this series, and part of being productive is making sure your body is running right. So we just talked about a lot of different videos. We're going to include some more health hack type videos, but we just talked about Viome, so you can check that out as far as cleaning up the gut, making sure that you are having maximum energy, getting rid of brain fog, getting rid of that undesirable weight, kicking that energy way up into hyper gear, and not having to depend on coffee and caffeine throughout the day. So definitely check that out, because that's a really important place to start. Fixing the gut is imperative. You got to do it, right? So 23andMe, fortunately, in comparison to Viome, you only have to do this once, right? Because your genes are what your genes are. I'm going to tell you exactly what 23andMe is. I think you probably hear that and you think, well, I don't necessarily need to know who my great-great-grandfather was and what Native American tribe he was a part of. I don't need to know that. I just need to know, how can I be productive? Well, let's get into that. I'm going to read specifically from one of my go-to sources about what this test really does. But what they've added and layered on top of, you want to do the health plus the ancestry service, not just the ancestry and trait service. The trait service I think would be good too, but this is going to give you the next level up, which is $200. It's going to give you everything. So you get 60 plus health reports, health predisposition, wellness reports, etc. They say, hi, we're 23andMe. We're all about real science, real data, and genetic insights that can help you make it easier for you to take action on your health. So they give a litany of different statistics as far as how people have found it to be beneficial. But let me read to you from one of my favorite books, Boundless, by Ben Greenfield. It's like an encyclopedia for health, by the way. I absolutely recommend checking it out. So Ben says, I'll warn you, hardly anybody's talking about this strategy to hack your neurotransmitters. So this is he's talking about brain health, which is going to be important for productivity, right? But when I interviewed Ben Lynch, my podcast about his mind-blowing book, Dirty Secrets and Genetic Testing Service Strategene, he explained to me that there's a list of so-called Super 7, which is a list of dirty genes, gene variants that directly affect not only neurotransmitters, but also several other important metabolic functions. Okay, so I'm going to list out to you, I'm going to read to you and kind of give you the synopsis of what these are, what he calls the Super 7. So Mthfr. Now listen to this one, because I talked to a physician before that thought that I had this, and that's why I want to follow up and make sure that I don't have this. It supports methylation, a crucial process involved in more than 200 of your body's vital functions. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot of functions in my body that I want to know what's going on so that I can address those issues. The next is GST/GPX. Now, I'm not familiar with a lot of these terms, guys. I'm not a doctor. I'm just literally reading straight from the book. So if I'm pronouncing these things wrong, I do apologize. It says 2 gene variants responsible for regulating your body's energy levels as well as your glutathione levels, thus impacting your natural antioxidant responses. Now, I do know glutathione. I do actually supplement glutathione. I take NAC every single day, which is a precursor for glutathione. It converts to, as I understand, it converts to glutathione, but I also do injections once a month of glutathione. You want to talk about an antioxidant? It's one of the most powerful antioxidants in the world. Your body produces it naturally in your liver, but it does help you to have it injected or supplemented in addition to that, because as you get older, my understanding is you don't produce nearly as much of it. But imagine if you have this GST, GPX, which means that you literally are not going to be regulating appropriately for your proper glutathione levels. That sounds like a big problem. So COMT affects the metabolism of dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, thus regulating your mood, energy levels, and ability to calm down, sleep, and focus. Now, you tell me this. You tell me how you're going to be the rip, rockin', and roaring entrepreneur that you want to be if you can't have regulated your mood, your energy levels, and your ability to calm down, sleep, and focus. Good luck. All right, next we have DAO, which is it affects your body's response to histamines from food and bacteria, thus affecting your vulnerability to food allergies and intolerances. All right, so one of the things I talked about in the Viome video was people that are eating foods, even healthy foods like spinach or avocado or whatever, and they're having an inflammatory response. Now, you may see that and say, okay, I need to cycle off of eating those foods, which is what Viome recommends, but there might be a deeper issue. You might be having this DAO issue, which is actually giving you a vulnerability to sensitivities, which is causing the issue you're having. So you may cycle off for 3 months, cycle back on, but you have DAO and you didn't know that, right? So you think, hey, it's fine. I cycled off for a little bit. I'm back. Still have the issue. This might be why. Next is MAOA, which affects your relationship to dopamine, norepinephrine, again, and serotonin, thus, again, governing your mood, energy, sugar cravings, and ability to sleep. Again, how are you going to be successful as an entrepreneur if that's your issue going on? NOS3, which affects your circulation and nitric oxide levels and helps determine your cardiovascular health and vulnerability to heart attacks, circulatory issues, and stroke. Sounds pretty serious. What else is serious is you guys should like and subscribe to this channel while you're at it. PEMT, which affects your cell walls, brain, and liver, impacting a range of health issues such as gallstones, fatty liver disease, gut problems, and attention and focus deficits. So here's the thing. I'm doing this for this reason because I read these and I'm like, let's if it's a one-time thing in my life, $200. And that's all I have to pay. Now, he recommends this StartupU service, which actually helps you interpret the data that you receive. So maybe that's something you have to do. We're going to find out as I move on to the results portion of this video. We're going to find out if that actually is beneficial, but you could probably take it to a functional medicine practitioner and they could advise you as well. Either way, I think it's probably going to be beneficial. I'm actually going to look up and see how much StartupU costs, so I give you the true value of what you're going to be spending. But for the time being, I think it'd be great to cross those 7 off, right? I think that's it's awesome to know who great-great-grandfather was and what he did for a living. But it's even better to know what's going on with you. What's your predisposition? What are your gene variances, your mutations that you need to be addressing? I think this is very, very important. You can test for the genes by taking an inexpensive salary DNA test through a company such as 23andMe, and then uploading the results to StartupU for interpretation. Once you are armed with the knowledge of which dirty genes you possess, you can go about fixing them. For example, if you discover you possess the Mthfr gene pattern that directly affects methylation, you can supplement with 5-methyl-tetrahydrofolate. This is my best guess, guys. While avoiding folate or folic acid, which are shoved into cheap multivitamins and used to fortify packaged foods. Wow. So you might be actually taking a multivitamin that is going against your genetic disposition or your genetic variants that you have. That's scary. That's scary stuff. So again, one of the things that I look at as I continue to study these things, right? As I continue to look into, I don't know how you achieve optimal performance to be the most productive person you can be without giving your body, right? Giving your business, yourself, the business of you, what you need to thrive, to be at the best that you could possibly be. So here's the deal. Let's go ahead and pause real quick. I'm going to look into StartupU because this is something that Ben Greenfield recommends. And if Ben Greenfield recommends it, I recommend it. I'm going to look into that. Then we're going to pause. I'm going to send this in. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to actually, let's look at the package and see what it involves. I think it's just a saliva thing. Let's check. But we'll do that. We're going to pause. I'll mail it off. I'll come back with my results and we're going to go over those and I'll tell you exactly what I was able to find. Okay, so I'm on the StartupU site right now, and it looks like they are actually a competitor of 23andMe, which is different than what the book says. So what I'm gonna do while we're waiting for the results to come back, I'm actually gonna reach out to StartupU to see, can I upload my 23andMe so you guys can do the interpretation? Because otherwise it's $295 for them to do the whole thing. It looks like what 23andMe does. So I'm gonna learn about that myself while I'm waiting for the results, and I'll get back to you on that. Let's go ahead and check out what is inside this kit so I can give you my first impressions. All right, so it looks like you've got a little welcome kit. Just shows you the basic functions of it, gives you some instructions, summary and explanation. Looks like they have an app that you can follow. You have to register your kit. No food or drink for 30 minutes before you do the sample. Doesn't look like it's at any specific time of the day. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like it. You do the saliva test. So you basically have a little tube. I'm gonna pull it out here in a second that you just spit into. It's kind of gross, but it is what it is. And then you close it, and that's it. You put it in the vial, screw on the top, seal it in the bag. It's so what I like about this, and I'm going to show you guys some footage of this while I'm doing this. What I like about it is that a lot of these new modalities they have for testing these things, they're a lot cleaner, right? So it's like everything just comes, you just finish it, put it in a bag, everything's already provided for you, including the label to send it back, which is great. And then what they do is it looks like once your sample is in process, you receive an email letting you know the results are in. Simply sign into your secure online account and let the genetic discovery begin. Okay, so awesome stuff, because what it looks like is actually everything's being managed via the app. And so when you register at the beginning, you'll be able to sign back into that account to be able to just assess all of your results. And then again, I'll follow up on StartupU and see exactly how you go about doing that for interpretation. Now, let me show you this because I feel like this is going to be something you need to know about. So it looks like here's the bag that you're going to send it back in. It just has the biohazard label. Here's the vial. It looks like this has a pretty steep fill line. That's a lot of spitting. So no, I take that back. I'm sorry. The bottom portion of it is actually not Doesn't look like it's fillable, so it's not that bad. I've done some where the whole vial, you have to fill like half of it and you're spitting for like 15 minutes. You're running out of spit. It looks like there's some kind of liquid in here, so I would want to look and see the instructions again to make sure I didn't miss something with that. I don't know if that liquid mixes with your saliva to like preserve it in some capacity or something, but it looks like when you're done, you just screw off this cap and then you screw on the sealable cap, which is what you're going to ship it in, and then you send it off. So it looks like this pretty simple. It looks like a little toilet bowl, honestly, the thing you're going to spit in, which I will tell you this, I've done other saliva labs, and much the same that I said about Viome. Typically those labs, what I don't like about them is they're very antiquated, right? Like they're not really user-friendly for the modern world. So usually you don't get this top thing, this little bowl that you can spit in. You actually just have to like put the vial up to your mouth, a little tube, and like somehow spit in it, you know, kind of like you're doing backwash in your water bottle or something. So that's not ideal. That's a little bit challenging. So it looks like that's that. It looks like they already put the return label on here. So you just literally just take this box and go ship, and then you're ready to rock and roll. That's all you have to do. So you don't even have to, you just close it. They probably would tape it up, I'd recommend, you know, so it's, you know, it gets there the way it's supposed to. I don't see any tape that comes with it, but I'll continue to look. Doesn't look like it. I would make sure it's sealed. Obviously this thing just kind of pops open, so I would make sure I had it sealed. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna send mine in. I'm gonna do the lab right now. I'm gonna go do my spitting. I'm not gonna do it on camera, that's gross. But I'll do my spitting, and then what I'll do is I will check back in when I mail this in and get the results, and we will review those results together. All right, so it's been about 3 weeks and I've got my 23andMe results. So let's go ahead and go over them. I will say, guys, this was an incredible process. I have enjoyed this thoroughly, even throughout the process. I didn't screen grab it at the time, but basically you get an entire timeline where every step of the process, they tell you what they're doing, what's going on, and there's a video explanation for each. There's a ton of different surveys you can fill out in the meantime. I went through and spent like hours filling out specific information and what have you. I don't know that information actually ties into this. In fact, I think it says that it doesn't, so I don't know what they use that data for. But overall, the user experience has been tremendous, and I love that they hold your hand throughout the way, giving you deadlines, telling you where they are in the process, and then telling you exactly what that means. So some interesting things, and I know we talked about some of the health aspects of this, so I want to go through that as well. One of the interesting things on a side note is apparently there's a probability, doesn't say a definitive answer, that I am a great something grandchild of Charlemagne, who was Charles the Great, who was like the king of, the king of France or something like that. So anyways, I would never have known that about myself. As expected, I'm extremely European, so 99.6% European. So a lot of things that I already knew, but definitely solidified there, which was really fascinating. Some Scandinavian, some British and Irish, and then some trace ancestry between Nigerian, Western Asian, North African, and Egyptian. Those were all so little that it was like basically minuscule. So definitely didn't know I had Scandi in me, definitely didn't know I was 7.4% Scandinavian, but all things that don't really apply to the reasons that I actually did this, albeit it's really, really cool. You can go to DNA relatives, which is fascinating, which actually will pull other people that have taken this test, I believe, but they tell you, and I mean, it's a really lengthy list. You can go down to like your sixth. I mean, I am scrolling for days here, and there's still cousins upon cousins upon cousins upon cousins. Third to sixth cousin, 0.33% DNA shared, which is really fascinating. So you could basically find anybody in your family is listed right here. You can also connect with other aspects of your family and stuff like that. Looks like there's some health highlights. It looks like I have to complete something to do that, but there are some aspects that will synchronize with your Apple Health, so you can continue to document that data. A lot of different things you can do in addition to just this report. Looks like some of them are actually paid, but some of them are just require a time investment, not necessarily a financial one. But let's get to the stuff. Oh, this was fascinating. Features, right? So back hair, 84% chance I have little or no back hair. I do not have back hair. Balding, cheek dimples, things that are just, you know, general attributes about you that doesn't really apply to what we want to do here. Let's talk about the powerful stuff, because I want to talk to you about this is a productivity series, right? So I wanted to make sure, and by the way, you should like and subscribe for the rest of this productivity series. But I wanted to see what are some things that are going to potentially affect your productivity. So as I look through here, I'm looking at the gene variances, right? So this is a G6PD deficiency. It's a common genetic condition caused by defects in an enzyme called glucose-6-phosphate dehydrogenase, I believe. Anyways, I'm not familiar with that. But it tells you exactly what that is, and it says if you have that variant, if it is detected that variant. That's very, very important. You can also go to this. So type 2 diabetes, all right? So here's the deal. Guess what? It showed that there's an increase in likelihood of me developing type 2 diabetes. Here's the deal. I just did my annual labs. Guess what showed up? Insulin resistance. So now I have the information that I need that I can address it so I don't become a type 2 diabetic. But also here's the deal. With insulin resistance, I was eating a diet that was causing me to crash in the afternoons. So after 1 o'clock, after I had lunch, game over. I was losing a lot of my day, or it wasn't as productive as it could have been. Turns out here's the deal. Guess what? This is in my disposition. There's scientific details, there's FAQs, there's all kind of information that goes with this, it coincides with this, outside of just telling you this is what you are. So there's a lot of different research that tells you where you are on the spectrum, the typical range, the likelihood between the ages of 34 and 80, general summaries. It gives you a lot of really, really awesome insight to be able to follow up on that so that you can do something about it and or take it to a functional medicine practitioner. They can help you decide, hey, here's what we should do. We should modify a diet or a lifestyle plan for you. I've been doing intermittent fasting, so I'm eating 2 meals a day instead of 3, and I'm doing low carb, under 50 carbs a day. I have been skyrocketing my productivity since I did that based on my labs that were confirmed here. It shows that, hey, this isn't something I did wrong. I've never liked sweets my entire life. This shows why. This shows why, because I genetically have a disposition or predisposition to not really tolerate those things well and to develop potential insulin resistance issues. So great to know, great to confirm in my case. Let's see, paternal haplogroup. Not entirely sure what that is. I think it just says the migration pattern of your family. That looks like it's more of like the family aspect. Let's get to some more of the deficiencies or the variances. Alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Not sure what that is either. Is a genetic condition that can lead to lung and liver disease. Is caused by decreased levels of the alpha-1 AAT protein. This test includes the 2 most common variants linked to this deficiency. So it'll tell you what that deficiency is. It'll also tell you what are some of the things you can do about it, I believe. If not, yeah, it's saying it's caused by certain things. People with AAT who smoke are more likely. That should probably be obvious. Occupational other exposure. So it is giving you other things that might likely lead to this, as well as signs and symptoms and how it's treated. So very, very fascinating. Obviously, you could always take it to a practitioner like somebody in functional medicine. Late onset Alzheimer's, obviously something that you'd want to be worried about later on in life, maybe not immediately for productivity. Celiac disease, that's probably a big one you'd want to know. I didn't have any variants there. Again, if you're having issues with gluten and you're still eating gluten, it's going to affect your productivity. So very, very important to know that. Didn't have that pop up. Kidney, didn't believe I have that one pop up. 0 variants detected. There was another one that I did pop up for, though, that I want to make sure that I get to. Familial hyper. Basically, this is a cholesterol one. FH is a genetic condition associated with very high levels of cholesterol in the blood, specifically low density, so LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. I had 0 variants of that. There was one that popped up. Now, I do have family members that have Parkinson's, but I did not show that that was a gene variant. So that was probably more of lifestyle habits, dietary things that nature. So it's important for me to know that, right? Here's when I did have a variant detected. So, and again, I'm terrible. I don't know what this stuff means, but it explains it, and I'll give it to my doctor so we can work on it together. Hereditary homochromatosis, HFE related. Let's see what that means. Genetic condition characterized by absorption of too much dietary iron. This may lead to iron overload, which can cause damage to joints and certain organs, such as the liver, skin, heart, and pancreas. This test includes 2 most common variants linked to this condition. It goes on to talk about it, this and this. I think one of the other fascinating things is, and I'm going to go back and verify it, but I just went through my labs, and there's a million different markers that we checked. I'm almost positive that one of them was high in iron. I'm almost positive of that. So, very important to know. Also, one of the things it talked about throughout my labs was that my potential filtration of alcohol was actually very, very low. And that's one of the things that I should not consider. I'm trying to find where that was. There's a lot of different markers here that you can look at. I don't remember where that was. There's a lot of them here. I think it was under wellness. Yeah, here we go. Caffeine consumption. I'm likely to consume more alcohol. I don't know if that's because of who I am as a person or my genetics. Maybe I just have a propensity to want to consume more. It talks about it, goes into depth. So if you're the type of person that relies on a lot of caffeine in coffee, let's give them a 5 stars. It just popped up. Let's leave them a review the same way you should subscribe and like this channel. We're going to do that. Okay, genetic weight. I'm predisposed to weigh less than the average, right? So maybe that's something I take into consideration. I want to make sure that I keep a good caloric intake. Maybe if you're predisposed to be a little bit heavier, maybe you give yourself some slack and say, well, I'm overweight because this is part of my genetics and I need to address that. Alcohol flush reaction, unlikely to flush, right? So it's going to get into that. It's going to talk about how, and I found it to be the case. I never handled alcohol well when I did drink. I don't drink anymore. Deep sleep, less likely to be a deep sleeper. This is, I can verify this with the data that I record every single night on my devices. I am always struggling for deep sleep. So I take supplementation to accommodate that concern. And more importantly, you know how it is. If you don't sleep for a couple of days, or you don't get deep sleep and you're not measuring your sleep, right? Like I do, you may be feeling groggy, living on caffeine, but not knowing that it's just because you are genetically disposed to not get deep sleep. If you don't get deep sleep, you're not going to flush the body, right? REM flushes the mind. Deep flushes the body. Basically is the general distinction there. There's a lot more to it than that, but generally speaking, if you're not getting that and you're feeling sluggish, demotivated, depressed, all those various things, it may just because you're not getting enough deep sleep. You may be predisposed to that. How productive do you think you're going to be if you're not getting the deep sleep that you need? Again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but you get how I'm saying this is important. Muscle composition, common in elite power athletes. That's pretty cool. Didn't know that. Lactose intolerance, likely tolerant. Saturated fat weight, likely similar weight, and then the sleep movement. So again, guys, I could go on for hours. I know we're trying to give you a quick highlight here. I would highly recommend this product specifically for, again, I love the heritage stuff. I love to know where I'm from. I love that I'm ridiculously European. That's awesome to know. I love that Charlemagne is probably my great-great-grandfather. That's awesome. But that doesn't do anything for me. From a productivity standpoint, what I want to know is these meaningful insights that I can then take to a practitioner that looks at a lab and says, okay, here's the deal. This is not because you're doing something wrong in your lifestyle. It's because you have a genetic disposition for this. You are predisposed to have this particular issue. And this is how we go about addressing it. This is how we deal with it so you can be as productive and as happy as you can possibly be. So it's not affecting your life. That's the last thing I want to have you see. And for $200 to do this one time, this is it. Your genes don't change. They are your genes. I could not recommend it more. This has been a great, great, great experience. I love the entire process from womb to tomb, start to finish. It's been a modernized approach throughout. I highly recommend you like this video, subscribe to this channel, comment below so that I can see you guys in the next one as we wrap up our productivity series. Love and appreciate you. See you soon.